On June 6, 2006, this Toronto lawyer found himself embroiled in the largest terrorist plot case this country has ever seen, defending one of 17 men accused of planning to behead the Prime Minister and blow up Parliament Hill. But with talk of jihad and references made about radical extremists, one has to wonder how a devout Christian took on this case.
And I believe in the quote that says that you have to be an independent thinker and not a reflector of other men's thoughts. And so when a case like this comes, am I concerned that there is so much public outcry? I'm concerned to an extent. But does it faze me? Does it ask me or force me to change my sort of belief in justice? It doesn't. And so justice requires that even the least of these should still have an advocate.
Raised in two rough Toronto neighborhoods, Regent Park and Scarborough's Gilder, Ontario housing complex, McLeod knew about the need for advocacy. He grew up with crime all around him.
I guess anything that you wanted was there if you were able to find it. But you know, when you're a child or when you're young, I don't think you realize how bad things are or even how good they are.
But miraculously, Donald didn't succumb to his crime-ridden surroundings.
He was a very, very strict mother who made sure that her kids stayed on the straight and narrow. But the influences are all around. Growing up without my dad was difficult. Perhaps not appreciated as much as I got older, and a good thing that my dad and I sort of reconnected again as I got older. But I think the elements that were around, I think church was a very good part of my life to make sure that I didn't get involved in those things. Not having sort of a male role model in my house, the things that helped were uncles, male figures in the church.
And with that support, Donald was always encouraged to dream big.
You would daydream, whether it be my sister, myself, or even my mom, you daydream of moving out, getting to another neighborhood, enjoying the things that life had to offer, which is one of the things that I sort of embrace more now.
His greatest dream, though, was always to become a lawyer.
Law wasn't just my first choice, it was my only choice. I actually didn't have, I do remember a friend of mine, and we were finishing at Mac. I did my undergrad at Mac, and the question that was asked of me is, well, you know, if law doesn't work out, well, what are you going to do? I don't know, I said.
You don't have a plan B?
I have no plan B. I have one plan. If it doesn't work, then I don't have another plan. So then it has to work.
But it was while he was in university taking a course on religious skepticism that he started to question his faith.
I had a very real struggle with God during those years. And so it found me questioning the very foundations of what I believed. And it took some time and wrestling and then now searching to come to the conclusion that there is a God. But now that you know that there is a God, what does that mean? Like, where do you go from there with it? So that sort of experience right there in school allowed me to now question God and find answers.
By the time he graduated law school, his faith was even stronger. Now a criminal lawyer, many wonder how he can defend those who might be guilty while still standing firm on his faith.
I had a discussion with a judge who's still a friend of mine to today's date. And I said to her, you know, look, I have problems here because what do I do? There's these issues that keep coming up, and how are we going to deal with them all? I'm a Christian, you know, there's moral issues, there's legal issues, how do I deal with them all? And, you know, she had said, you have to make sure that you understand that you cannot compromise your own Christian beliefs, but you have a job, which is a duty as a legal person as well. Yeah, exactly.
And that has been the stand Donald has kept throughout the years he has practiced law. Now with his own law firm and high-profile clients, he keeps one thing clear. He must give everyone an equal chance.
I take those verses at heart, or to heart, when it is said that you shouldn't judge a man. And I realize now that in my profession, it forces me not to. I still have to argue on their behalf. And when things don't make sense or don't add up, I question them. But it helps me in my profession that way. I can appreciate the man on the cross more now that said to Christ, look, I've done everything imaginable bad. And what do I need to do to get to heaven? And Christ makes it so easy, but sometimes we make it so difficult or so hard on a person without realizing how simple it actually is. That action of just forgiveness and letting someone sort of put it all on out there and say, look, if you'll forgive me of all of this, then I'll walk with you. So I've learned that better. I think it's made me a better Christian.
So in June 2006, when Jamal James asked Donald to defend him against accusations of terrorism, he immediately took the case.
I take it as a regular case, but clearly, the Canadian society is not. And perhaps it's a case that has garnered so much media attention that in many respects there's a lot that Canadian society is digesting where it relates to these particular accused. I didn't sense it at first right away because of the amount of media that was there, and I was sort of one of the lawyers that came out of Brampton Court, and the media was all around us. We were, from CNN to Fox News to CBC, we were in all of these particular venues within days of sort of the case breaking.
But with all of the international attention and speculation, at the end of the day, McLeod feels confident that he has respected his Christian beliefs and is defending someone who deserves an advocate.
When a case like this comes, I have to look at it and say, I don't know where this is going to end up. I don't know what's going to happen. But my Christian morals have stayed with me all of these years, and I've not had to sort of compromise them. So I wouldn't compromise them for this. I don't mind being sort of on the side of the cameras where perhaps the general populace of Canada thinks something seems fishy. I've grown accustomed to being there, and so it doesn't bother me. I expect that everyone is entitled to their opinion and their position, even these accused. Now, the big one in the corner...
Now married with a young child, McLeod wonders where God will take him next when it comes to his law career and his personal faith journey.
I'm sure that there are things that God expects of me that I've not even touched the surface yet. And there are places that he wants me to go that to this point I'm still not there. So I'm waiting and hoping and praying that wherever the next step is, he'll let me know.
And until then, Donald is confident that defending those in need of an advocate is where he needs to be. Magdalene John, Toronto, Ontario, 100 Huntley Street.